The pandemic has the state urging all Californians to curb non-essential travel. But several lawmakers in California recently traveled to Hawaii for a 4-day legislative conference, including Rancho Mirage State Assemblyman Chad Mayes. Today I spoke with Mayes, who was still at the resort conference in Maui. Chad, thanks for joining us from Maui.
Yeah, Peter, thanks so much for having me.
Before we get to why you're there, I'm sure you have heard some of the criticism surrounding this trip, especially since coronavirus cases are surging. All Southern California counties are now back in the most restrictive purple tier. And just days ago, the governor urged all Californians not to travel out of state. So what do you say to people who believe that this is a prime example of do as I say, not as I do?
Oh, I think the optics of that are right on. And in fact, if I didn't know the whole story, I would be thinking that very same thing. This is my fifth year coming to the Independent Voter Project conference. I am an independent, and this is the Independent Voter Project, bringing sort of legislators from California and from Texas, and I think there's a couple of other states here as well, to be able to convene to talk about policy issues that affect us and to look at what we might be doing for this next legislative year. So this is my fifth year. I actually got on the plane Friday morning, and when I got off the plane is when I understand that travel advisory actually was there. So I can understand people saying, "Well, wait a minute. If the assembly member can travel, how come I can't travel?" My guess is that there are many legislators that would have changed their plans and not come to this trip had they known that the governor was going to put out that order. Unfortunately, I was already on the plane, and so we're here.
But if you want to have a conference and a serious discussion about public policy, why not do that back in California? Why fly to a luxury hotel in Maui, which of course a lot of people would consider a vacation, during a pandemic, and when so many people across the nation and in your own district are having hardship right now?
Right, and I agree with you, Peter. This conference, I didn't put this conference on. There are many conferences that legislators go to throughout the year. There's ones in Boston, there's some in New York, there's some in New Orleans. There are those international trips as well. Over the course of my 6 years that I've been in the legislature, I've actually gone on a lot of them. I found that when you get together and sit down at a table and have interactions with your fellow legislators, be they both Democrats and Republicans, it's incredibly effective. And the format of this particular conference is actually very good. In fact, why we've been here. We've been talking about the vaccine that's coming up. We've had representatives from the pharmaceutical industry briefing us on what the vaccine might look like, which has been fantastic. We were just talking to some folks within business and saying, look, our retailers and our hospitality folks are dying. What can we do? What can the state government do to be able to assist us? And because we're able to, Democrats and Republicans and the only independent get together, it's incredibly effective.
This annual conference organized by the Independent Voters Project has also faced some criticism because it's partly financed and attended by special interests, including business and labor groups that lobby legislators. So going back to this whole issue of appearances, did you have any hesitation about going to this conference, and do you now regret it?
No, I don't regret it at all. In fact, I think these sorts of things are incredibly important. The only reason I don't regret it, though, is because of the protocols that the state of Hawaii has put in place to make sure that we're all safe. In fact, under their Safe Travels program, they required every single person to get tested within 72 hours arriving in the state. And in fact, almost everyone that's here feels incredibly safe being here because everybody had to get tested before coming here. It's a bit embarrassing, I'll tell you. It's a bit embarrassing that a little state like Hawaii can do that, but in the state of California, we haven't done that. I know that the local resort authority has been talking about that. In fact, I'm having a conversation with them on Friday morning when I get back, because we need to do that same sort of thing in California. It's not just about shutting everything down. We need to keep things open and at the same time making sure that the public stays safe as well.
So safe to say, if you're invited back to this conference in Hawaii next year, you'll be attending.
Well, this is incredibly important work that we do here. Doesn't mean for sure that I'm going to come, but we'll see what my schedule looks like. Again, this is year number 5 for me, and it's been very effective in the work that we've done in the legislature so far.
What needs to be done to help businesses financially survive? And do you think that the state's restrictions go too far or not far enough?
I think it's certainty. I think that's what we've been hearing from folks in the district, and that's what we've been hearing from the statewide leaders just in my last session, is that there's a lack of certainty, and the current color-coded system does not provide for them certainty. They've been asking, why is 25% the number that's been used? How come it's not 50% or 75%? Why are some businesses able to stay open that are selling the same goods that other businesses aren't? And so there are small businesses up and down the state, and especially in the 42nd Assembly District in the Coachella Valley, that are suffering and not sure they're going to be able to keep their doors open. We as a state government need to be providing certainty, and that the rules are followed and that they're clear, so they can make decisions that best help them.
All right, Chad, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great, thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.